Good evening. I'm going to call to order the semi-monthly meeting of the State of Rhode Island Coastal Resources Management Council to order. Today is Tuesday, January 13, 2026. I would ask that the record reflect the council members that are present this evening, as well as CRMC staff members that are present as well. First matter on the agenda will be approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. I know that Lisa had sent them out. Are there any questions? If not, or corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Mr. Gagnon abstaining. Subcommittee reports. Director Willis.
There are no subcommittee reports tonight, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Staff reports. Director Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very briefly, we have read in the newspaper that the Trump administration has put a pause on a couple of the offshore wind farms. And I've been asked many times by colleagues and friends, how does that affect the CRMC? And it does not. If you have any questions, if folks are asking you what's going on, please give me a call. But we have already participated in our federal consistency review of all these projects that are in the newspaper and that the Trump administration has put a pause on, or the courts have now overturned. But we have already done our work here at the staff and council level. We are currently reviewing for a state permit, the South Coast Wind Project. If you recall, we already did the federal portion of that a couple of years ago. We are still moving forward with the state review of their cable coming up the Secaunet. So these federal actions would not affect what happens at the state level. I just wanted to reiterate that because I'm getting a lot of questions. I don't know if you all are, but it does not affect us at this time. And then just very briefly, I've mentioned this a couple of times and I'll continue to do so. The Point Street Bridge creosote piling removal projects moving forward. We've gotten agreements with the Nature Conservancy, who's going to act as the contractor for the work. And we're working with the city of Providence to do education and outreach on that. So I don't anticipate work to be done in the winter or spring, and then things will stop in the summertime because, believe it or not, that part of the river is used for tourism. There's some kayak and canoe companies in there, and there's some other boating. Of course, there's water fire that happens there too. So we anticipate using these next couple of months to wrap up a work schedule and contracts, permits, and then come fall, we should get that work underway. And then lastly, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'd like to turn the rest of my staff report over to legal counsel to bring us up to speed on the Quidnesset matter.
Sure. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As far as the Quidnesset matter is concerned, I just want to advise the council that legal counsel has filed a counterclaim in the most recent lawsuit filed by Quidnesset. What a counterclaim is essentially it's a complaint. It's an action within an already existing legal case. Within that counterclaim, we've alleged two counts. The first is for declaratory relief, and the second is for injunctive relief. In fact, it's mandatory injunctive relief that we're requesting, which means that we're requesting that the court command Quidnesset to remove the illegal wall from the property. I have a copy of that complaint, and whichever council members would like to see that, I can distribute via email. The only thing I would add to that is that the next steps as part of this process will be to file a motion for preliminary injunctive relief, basically getting the process started and working with the court to schedule that and getting before a judge to hash this matter out. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions of Attorney Hartman? Mr. Flynn.
Is that our response to their two lawsuits against us?
That's correct.
Is there any further response other than the one you just mentioned?
Well, there is a third lawsuit for the petition, and that we're not filing a counterclaim in that. This is the enforcement action, and it's more appropriate to file the counterclaim, which basically are requests for relief within that enforcement action, because that's really, they're tied in together.
When were these done?
The complaints?
No, not the complaints, our response to the complaints.
Our response, the counterclaim was filed today.
Just today?
Yep.
Okay, because you've probably seen the reports in media about there's been a substantial amount of time between when those suits were filed and our response to it. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of those.
Okay. So the story in today's Eco RI News was not correct, or was correct at the time they wrote it. But since then we've filed something, or
I did not review that report.
I have to say, I get asked all the time. I don't think I've ever been asked about a matter before the council by people who know I'm on the council, but I get asked this question all the time. And I don't know if any other people do too, but it's obviously pretty high up there in the public's mind as to what's going on. And it was looking to people like we weren't being very responsive. And I don't think that's a good look. But I'm happy to know that there's action that's been taken. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions of Attorney Hartman? Thank you. Next, we'll do applications which have been out to notice for 30 days and out for the council for review. The first one is A, then asterisk 1995-07-194 EAST POND COTTAGE LLC. It's application modification of an existing residential boating facility, replacement of existing residential boating facility extending 79 feet seaward of the cited mean low water mark with a new residential boating facility consisting of an upland ramp, 4 foot by 103 foot fixed timber pier, 3 foot by 20 foot gangway, 4 by 4 landing float, and an 8 by 18.75 foot, which in parentheses is 150 square feet terminal float. The facility is proposed to extend 84 feet seaward of the cited mean low water mark, requiring an additional 5 foot further length variance from existing, which is a Redbook 650-RICR-20-00-01, section 1.3.1 D 11 L. A property line setback variance from the northern abutter of 13 feet is also required, an increase from the existing 17 foot offset, which is section 1.13.1 D 11 K. This is located at Plat U, Lot 44, 11 East Pond Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Is the applicant present for that matter? And if so, please come forward and have a seat at the table. Amy, you have this one for us?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
As noted, this is an application to modify what CRMC calls a grandfather dock. A dock that was approved during the 90s that didn't exactly meet the standards of the time, and then, of course, does not meet the standards of today. Therefore, the application is requesting removal of what is essentially a seasonal facility with a full-time facility that meets the current regulations. During the course of the review, a sign-off from the abutter, which is the town of Narragansett, was received. So therefore, there is no longer a side setback variance. There is, however, the remaining variance for the length exceeding beyond the 50-foot mean low water standard. It is extending 84 feet beyond mean low water, which is only 5 feet further than the facility exists today. Going to the 84 feet beyond mean low water allows for a proper 150 square foot float, and also gets the facility to the CRMC minimum 18-inch water depth. There were no comments during the public notice period, and staff has no objections to the approval of the variance and the approval of the facility.
Okay, any questions of Amy? Gentlemen, if you could identify yourself for the record, please.
Jeff Berry. I'm the operations manager for East Pond LLC.
Okay,
A family-owned summer house, which I have been the caretaker of for quite a few years now. And it's now turned into a LLC for succession to the next generation.
Okay,
But I remain the operations manager and, you know, in charge of all management of the property.
okay.
Russ Morgan, I'm the professional engineer who prepared the plans and submitted the application.
Okay. Would you have anything to add to what Amy had indicated?
I don't. We worked through the abutting property to the north. Was a little bit of a mystery, a right of way, and it took us a little bit of time to get through the town of Narragansett to get approval for that offset. The variance request for the length, an additional 5 feet, I guess, was to gain some water depth and also to miss some boulders in the area.
It also puts it on a par with, you know, neighboring facilities to the north and south. So it's not outwardly extending further than other facilities in the neighborhood.
And Amy, my review of your material indicates that there is no technical objection to this?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from the council for the applicant's representatives or Amy? Is the council in a posture for a motion?
I'm going to ask for anyone else.
I will. Good point. Before I do that, I traditionally have to ask, is there anyone else present this evening that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone present this evening that wishes to speak in opposition of the application? Seeing none, is the council in a posture for a motion?
Make a motion. Based on the findings as presented in the staff report and the representations made at the meeting, I make a motion to approve the application with any standard stipulations.
And Mr. Reynolds, does this motion include the variance relief requested
Including the variance relief requested.
based on the staff report?
Based on the-
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, here's a collective second from Mr. Gagnon, Mr. Flynn, and Mr. Russolino. So a motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, I will poll the council. Mr. Flynn,
Aye.
Mr. Izzy,
Aye.
Mr. Russolino,
Aye.
Dr. Ruder,
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon,
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds.
Aye.
I too, Raymond Poyer, vote aye. The application has been approved unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us to the next matter on our agenda is 2025-06-048 Bradley Boringer. It's an application for a 3.5 acre expansion of the existing aquaculture site, which bears CRMC number 2019-12-055 for the cultivation of eastern oysters and bay scallops using low profile floating baskets and bottom cages. Location is Dutch Island Harbor, Jamestown, Rhode Island. Is the applicant present this evening? All right. Ben, you have this one, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, as you mentioned, this is an expansion of an existing farm, which is currently 7.8 acres, would be a 3.5 acre expansion. The applicant's been working this site for some time. He's fully utilizing the area and is desiring more space to expand the business. The makeup of the operation will consist of about 17 long lines for use of floating baskets. This is the type of floating aquaculture gear that is very low in profile, perhaps the lowest profile of floating gear on the market currently, and is also being employed in the vicinity by other farmers as well with great success. This application went through the standard process, including a preliminary determination, town, harbor commission. I would note that for the submission of the preliminary determination application, January 2024, so about 2 years ago, staff underwent a working group with the town officials, so town planner, harbor master, assistant harbor master, and also some of my colleagues from DEM, the Division of Marine Fisheries. We had looked at the constraints around the general area where aquaculture has been cited in Dutch Island Harbor, and in anticipation of this application and another, which the council saw last year, we discussed some of the issues surrounding the expansion of aquaculture in this area. We did come up with a map, basically details where aquaculture areas where out of those lines would not be appropriate. The applicant had the benefit of this working group, the product of the map, to craft his application accordingly, which he did. The subsequent filing of the formal category B application went out for public notice in July 2025, and received authorizations and recommendations from DEM, specifically from the Division of Marine Fisheries and Division of Fish and Wildlife. They found that the adverse impacts of the marine fisheries and their habitat from this prospective site would be minimal. Likewise, the Marine Fisheries Council found that the application does not conflict with competing uses engaged in the marine fisheries in the area. And additionally, the Coast Guard did a navigational risk assessment. They stated the project does not appear to increase impact to navigation safety. The applicant has also gotten his authorization from the Army Corps of Engineers under our GP20, and has all the authorizations required to operate. Based on the size and location and all the review from the other agencies, this application normally would be eligible for administrative approval. However, during the public notice period, we received 2 objections. The objections were focused on few points. One was aquaculture debris in the Dutch Island Harbor area, accumulation of sand into Great Creek, and I guess a correlation between the aquaculture development and the filling in of the Great Creek. And also the comments expressed that sailing in the area has become more challenging. The distance between the farms and Dutch Island has become less and less. I'll address these objections. The aquaculture debris comment is true. There is occasionally aquaculture debris that washes up on the Jamestown shores. I have relationships with several residents on the shoreline who notify me if they see such debris, and I'm always able to get it cleaned up by the farmers in a timely manner. Many of the pictures that were submitted supported this objection, showed debris that was not aquaculture related, but appeared to be related to other activities, such as recreational boating, homeowner landscaping maintenance. I consulted our staff geologist on the issue of sand accumulation at the entrance of Great Creek, and if there is a correlation with aquaculture or causation. We could not find one. There are probably other processes at play that have led to the accumulation of sand in that creek through longshore transport of sand. If anything, the aquaculture sites may actually prevent some of that sand from working its way down into the creek. And as far as the issue with impacts to sailing between the aquaculture area and the island, Dutch Island, the addition to this site does not decrease that distance at all. It is interior to the aquaculture area that was identified with the town working group. And the boundaries of that aquaculture area are to remain the way they are, so there shall be no reduction in distance between the current part of the farms and the island. With that, I find the application to be consistent with the CRMP and all our policies and standards. I recommend this application for approval with standard stipulations and an additional performance bond and the amount of $40,000 to be posted by the applicant in the event of abandonment or to cover the cost of gear removal if something should happen in that regard. Our typical performance bond of minimal amount is about $5,000. And do range up to $40,000 for larger areas. Given that this new site would be fairly large with a fair amount of gear, $40,000 is probably about the right amount to cover.
Okay. Any questions from the council of Ben?
I just say I was going to ask about the litter issue, so I'm glad you addressed it and I'm glad it's being taken care of and you have the ability to do that. So thanks for saying that and doing that.
Yes, I worked with all the farmers there on this issue. Some have had to work through some kind of gear designs to ensure that gear isn't blowing off the farm every time there's a strong wind.
He knows.
Um,
He's good with that.
Most of the farmers don't appear to be having problems currently. Certainly the last year was better than other years. Part of that may be due to the fact that many of these farmers are switching over to this new gear type, which I mentioned, very low profile. It's designed in New Zealand actually to be able to withstand offshore environments, rough waters, things like that. It seems to perform pretty well. And in addition to that, the farmers generally organize amongst themselves a beach cleanup in the spring. That's generally when you're going to start to find these things after a long winter. And like I said, I work with them. We actually have a kind of a community meeting with the town of Jamestown with their harbor office planned for later this winter. We're going to get all the farmers together just to connect with folks in the harbor office. Been a change over the staff there. There are some new farmers in the area as well.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Sure, can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, I'm Brad Behringer. I'm the president of Rocky Road Oyster Co. that also does business as Walrus and Carpenter Oysters.
All right, do you have anything to add to what Ben has said as it relates to the application?
Yeah, I'm just adding on that, or continuing on that, relating to the two objections. It's just the first one being that like we're staying within the kind of the deemed like aquaculture zone in Jamestown. So although we are adding more space with farming, we're not leaving an area that's already mostly filled with aquaculture, and therefore we're not too concerned about impending on or disrupting any navigation that does happen in the area. We have a really good working relationship with the most common like sailing group, the Connecticut Sailing Foundation, that works out of there, out of Fort Getty. And so we often do classes for them on shore where we teach them about our farm. And that would be like they're probably the group that's most highly used in the area anyways, that would be concerned. And then the second being the litter. A lot of the equipment that's been developed previous, since the last 10 years of equipment was mostly a steel vinyl clad wire that was very prone to rusting and falling apart very much like you would find on lobster traps. Inevitably after 5 to 6 years, those tend to rust through and the floats fall off and end up on the beach shore. And we've done our best working with Ben, just being the first person to be noticed, and trying to accommodate the homeowners and try to establish like meetings and just understand that we do want to take best care of the shoreline around them. But luckily, I think going forward concerning that objection is I'd say almost all of our equipment has been transitioned over and is continuing to be transitioned over to non-rusting materials with stainless fasteners that we're all really confident in and have seen really good success in. So we're looking towards that being less of an issue going forward.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions of the applicant, Ben?
I'll also just note that a standard stipulation in the asset for an aquaculture site includes that any gear lost off the farm must be retrieved and cleaned up within 30 days. That is a condition of the assent. That 30-day period is kind of designed to be responsive to a large scale disruption, like a big storm event, where it might take a little longer to get things back in order. But in general, these guys are on it. As soon as I get the call, like I let them know when they pick it up.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions from the council? Is there anyone else present this evening that wishes to speak in favor of the application?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So, to the chair, I have been through that area a couple times. Will you be adding on additional boundary buoys as well throughout that area in order to compensate for the larger area?
Swear in and answer any questions.
For our news.
Sir?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold it right there. Because you're gonna answer some questions, we are gonna swear you in.
Okay.
Sir, I'll have you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Bradley Behringer, BRADLEY, BOEHRINGER.
Thank you.
Thank you. You please answer.
Yeah, so there's the area that Ben's referring to, that's the Jamestown aquaculture area, and then there's also like our individuals. So I'm curious if they're
Meaning the aquaculture area as a whole and your individual space. I know it's sometimes tough to see in low light conditions.
yeah.
And just with additional more surface traps or surface farm.
Yeah.
Wondering if there's plans to add additional.
Yeah, so everything, like all of our leases and I think I saw in the document that was submitted tonight, or that is in the file for tonight from the Army Corps of Engineers, we have to implement what we've used are these 8-foot high flyer buoys that will have certain numbers attaching to their file number on those. That's what each of the farms has kind of has their own buoy. There's like a standard one, but I think we're all trying to adopt them. And then the aquaculture area then could speak on that, but I don't think that's.
So generally speaking, the farms that are on that are kind of on the seaward edge of the aquaculture area have registered private aids to navigation. Those have solar lights, radar reflectors, and this expansion is directly behind an existing farm. So he'll have to, by the terms of the ascent, mark his farm accordingly with the CRMC ascent number. But we're not as worried as with the navigational aids that he's not on the leading edge, so to speak of.
That's what I was seeing, so I wanted to confirm.
Yeah, so and we've been working with the Coast Guard and Army Corps on this issue, and we do go through navigational risk assessments and marking recommendations from the Coast Guard. Sometimes they will require a large yellow kind of warning buoy, which is lit, has radar reflectors. That fits the bill for a PATON, a private aid to navigation that can be registered with the Coast Guard. A high flyer or just a buoy, even a lit buoy, actually isn't a private aid to navigation in their view. It has to have certain characteristics. So we only put those larger ones kind of on the outside of the area.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Is there anyone present this evening that wishes to speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is the council in a posture for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, based on the testimony of staff and staff's report and the testimony of the applicant, and I would move that the application be approved with the normal and additional stipulations referred to by staff and contained in the report.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Who seconded it? Dr. Ruder? All right, motion has been made by Ms. Izzy, seconded by Dr. Ruder. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will poll the council. Mr. Flynn, Mr. Izzy,
Aye.
Mr. Russolino,
Aye.
Dr. Ruder,
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon,
I,
Ms. Reynolds.
Aye.
I too, Raymond Coy, vote aye. Sir, the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Having no further business to come before the council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.